Hi, my name is Dwight Crawford. I'm the councillor for the Spring Garden Division and the deputy mayor for the city of Montego Bay.
Right, so when you say Spring Garden Division, what are some of the communities in that area?
Catherine Hall, West Green, which are two of the worst damaged places during the hurricane in St. James. Spring Garden also has the Bogue community, Guava Walk, Unity Hall, Whalespan, Wilshire, Bogue Village, Bogue Heights, and so on. Yeah, man, it's a pretty big
And it's
division.
densely populated.
Yeah, man.
Is this an elected position? Were you elected to this position?
Oh yes, quite so. Yes, my boss are the people. So
Right.
I've been councillor for this community, or should I say this division, for over 8 years now.
Right.
It's a pretty good community, but we've been facing some tough times lately. Fortunately, we bounced back. I think there are countries who have gone through less than we have been through and are still not where we are yet. So God is good, and persons like yourselves,
Right.
the JAHJAH Foundation that is here helping us has made the rebound
With leisure.
definitely.
Right, but let's back up a little.
better.
I wanted to get a sense as to how these communities were impacted by Hurricane Melissa.
Well, I will say to you that Catherine Hall, so what had happened during the hurricane was that while we had the wind, the areas outside of here were affected by the breeze. So persons lost roofs, and so on and so forth. But in this particular area, there was a flooding issue.
Right.
So what happened was that not some of the homes, pretty much all the homes, this community on record has over 1,500 homes. Very dense community. So while you might go to some of the other communities in the more rural areas, you will find 100 houses in a half-mile radius. Well, within this radius, you have 2,000, almost 2,000 homes.
Right.
So basically, it's like almost a whole city was impacted right here. So what we found was that water levels came up to about 9 feet high in homes. Persons had to be saving each other. Everything that persons had inside of their homes was gone. And even you find that persons were trying to salvage things as well, but naturally, when the water runs through it over time, it just goes.
Right.
So it was, I would say, not some, all of the homes were impacted by the flood waters that came through here.
So the JAHJAH Foundation came on board here and is offering some help to community. I think paint, bedding, some other furniture. What are your thoughts on that? this
Oh,
initiative?
well, I think it is absolutely great. If there was ever a time I learned, or should I say, relearned or understood the importance of being a brother's keeper, it is now.
Right.
Because we found that persons nowadays have fallen out of that understanding. Persons are now singular.
They're more self-reliant.
However, yeah, so if there was ever one good thing I would say has come out of this hurricane is that persons who are normally living singular lives understand the importance of the community,
Right.
and the importance of being a brother's keeper. Because had it not been for persons like yourself, the JAHJAH Foundation and others, even the neighbors next door, the recovery would have been
Right.
a total nightmare.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been a total nightmare.
Right. So I don't want to get you into any controversy, but I want to get a sense from you regarding what you think of flooding, because when we talk to different people, they say it's not the Bonnet River.
Interesting.
Some people say it's this, some people say it's that. What is your take on
All
that?
right, so it's not controversial. It's a good question. And I'm going to say two things. I'm going to start off this way by saying there was a time when there was a flood, and God's word was that we need to build an ark.
Right.
So when God's hand is at work, sometimes we need to take high ground and pick up the pieces, because if you try to stand in the way of God's hand, you will lose your life.
Right.
So I do understand that persons in their own wisdom believe that we can always be fully in control of everything, but we have to give credit to the man that created it all. His hand is mightier than ours. And I'm saying this to say that if you are to drive back through some of the hillside areas, because the town of Montego Bay is down in the valley,
Right.
and if you look around you see hills right around.
Right.
All that water that you're seeing is coming this way.
Right.
Now, if you drive up there and you look at the cavities that were created along the side of the road, you will see the body of water that was heading this way.
Right.
And you ask yourself, where is it going?
Right.
Now, I understand persons will look at river training and persons will look at drainage. But when the rivers that were trained with gabion baskets, you look, the gabion baskets that were used to train the rivers, the water just come and lift them up and say, look, get out of my way.
Right.
You know,
And a
business
retake,
time.
like a retake.
A lot of the land that was lost are properties that were dumped up and reclaimed by persons over the years.
Right.
Yeah, and if you see a gully, there's a reason why it is a gully. Don't build in it. Of course, sometimes persons think otherwise. But what I will also say to you is that when the water came down, there's a thing called a storm surge, where the
From
wind.
the sea.
Yes.
Right.
So what the storm surge caused was the drains that take the water out of the city to sea that usually are at the top of the water line.
Right.
When the storm surge started, those drains were now at the bottom.
Right.
So basically, you would have to
They were
wait.
ineffective.
So you would have to wait until the wind subsided, and remember that there's also a large amount of water coming down. You have to wait until that goes away, because pretty much shortly after the hurricane and the rains, the water went.
Subsided,
Right. So it's a storm surge. So I get the vibe. More drains, but if you have 100 more drains,
Right.
if the water at sea
It's
is
higher
higher
than
than the land level,
Right.
it has nowhere to go, and you just have to take high ground, wait for it to rest, and, which is why evacuation zones are created, because you know that when you have a storm surge, you evacuate and then you come back and pick up the pieces. So but extensive drain cleaning was done before the hurricane.
Right. So we look through the community, and the community looks like it's on its way to recover.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, I will tell you that where you're even standing here now, this was all covered in mud.
Right.
Feet of mud. All the homes were covered in feet of mud. Every house, not some houses, every home was full of mud. Over 2,000 truckloads, 2,000 10-wheeler trucks loaded with material were carted away from these communities because the river took all the debris and deposited right in here. So a significant amount of work has been done. We're not there yet.
Right.
You look at it and say it's a significant amount of work, but we're not back to normal yet. There's still a lot of work to do, because there are some persons who need help. There are some persons who are, for whatever reason, unable to finish the process of cleaning out. And day by day, you will see things coming out, mud being piled up in areas, but we're committed to it and we're just going to stay with it. But as I said to you, what has given me a feeling of hope and inspiration is the help that we've been getting from persons like your group, the JAHJAH Foundation, that have come in to say, you know, and I like it, Jamaicans abroad helping Jamaicans at home. That's always good, because it's an interesting statement, because most people leave Jamaica and don't even remember their address where they used to live. You know, so coming home to this is a big deal, and it warms my heart, and I would love to say thank you, by the way, on behalf of everybody in this community and everybody you've helped outside.
Well, thank you for what you're doing, and you know, your leadership is very important at this time, more than ever.
Thank you.
And you know, we're happy that we're able to come here.
And I look forward to getting to know a little more and know some more. So if there's anything that we can do to make the lines of communication and movement a little freer, we'd definitely love to create that partnership.
Well, can you talk about a little bit about the project we plan to do with the beds and the paint?
Red
Right.
paint, yeah, that's one in the container right
This was
now.
his,
Right.
we approached Mr. Crawford as a community leader to see what are the needs of the community. Because sometimes folks abroad, you know, they have the idea of what they need. They need food, they need clothes. And yes, they need those things. But when the brigade is gone, you know, what are the things that the communities need to rebuild faster? And Mr. Crawford and Mr. Russell at the time said that, you know, he'll tell you right now what the needs were and how JAHJAH Foundation was able to fill those needs here.
So what we found was that pretty much all the homes lost all their furniture. You know, even the stove. So even when persons say they have nothing to eat and stuff like that, that's not just because they can't access food, but because their utensils, their stoves, their instruments that they would use to prepare their meals have been totally destroyed. So our Dr. Dixon and I were having a conversation in a meeting that he called me to, and I was suggesting to him that some of the necessities, a stove, where somebody can actually open a tin of canned food and warm it up, you know, a bed, so persons can now get up off the floor and sleep on a bed, where two of the I think, two of the number one items that I had raised with him at the time that we needed in the communities, and I know people will be so happy for that. Paint as well, because all the houses are covered in mud, and so they're being washed off now, but you'd be surprised to know aesthetically when that gallon of paint is put on the walls. Psychologically, for most people, it will put that nightmare behind them. So those were three of the items that we had requested or suggested that I see here today. I know there's a lot more things in there, but I know the paint, the mattresses, and the 2-burner stoves were definitely a high-ticket item. You know, so we're thankful for that.
Yeah, man, we're happy to help, and thank you very much for speaking with me, man.
Yeah, man, thank you. Yeah, man, I keep up the good work.
Yeah, man, big stuff.
Yeah, man.